Thank you. Thank you very much. I am most glad to be here. And like they said at the introduction, I've been around for about 2 days because I met Kajathan in, it's been quite a while, but I didn't know that he was a graduate of this school. We did some project together. It was when he reached out to me to review this book this time that I asked him. And I also was here. I was here in the 80s as a student, and I graduated in 1989. One reason I came early was also to look around and see how the place is. All sorts of feelings. It's good and it's not so good. But I'm grateful that we still have a vibrant community of young people and academics who are doing their bits to pull the country, to pull the school ahead and to pull the nation ahead. I expected I would see a lot more young people here because this book is about the young people. It's not the grizzled, old folks that I see more of, but that's okay because they would read the books and they're the ones who are going to run with the lessons. So I will try to be as quick as possible. One important thing about the book, the title is Life After School. As we all know, life itself is a school. And whether we go to school or not, we are in some sort of school, and we would graduate at some point when we leave the stage. Let me just start quickly and say that I would focus more on the lessons that life after school is all about. His NGO, Care of the Estranged, which was how I got to meet him, deals with the underprivileged. And I see a young man with a lot of energy trying to pull people along. It's not easy because it's a thankless job to a large extent, no matter what we say. It's mostly a thankless job. Even the people you are trying to pull along do not always appreciate your efforts. But I like that he has been in this for 20 years. 20 years is a long time, and I think that we should give the young man a round of applause, please. So I'm going to start with a few of the lessons that I personally saw while going through the book. One of the takeaways for me is the author's fulsome recognition of critical people, with whom his life intersected. Like John Donne said in his famous poem, no man is an island entire of itself. The reason those of us who are here is because our lives somehow have intersected with the author's life. And a lot more people would come, but for the circumstances that came across today or from 2 days previous, as the chairman told us. So, for young people and for everyone, our lives are not ours to live independently. It's important to be independent, but we cannot go through life without depending on other people. I met him, like I said, maybe about 16 or so years ago, but I'm here because he left an impression. And that good impression is what I believe that he's trying to pass across to young people to help them build coalitions, to get collaborations that enable them through the various stages of life. The second thing I saw is to say that there's, before life after school, there's life in the schools. And a critical skill, and it also harps on what I said in the beginning, is that those who make it, who succeed, are not necessarily the most brilliant. In the academic community, the most brilliant people would, of course, rise to the top. But as we go into the larger life, those with the emotional quotient are the ones who are going to make it through, because you can get what you need to get by walking through others. And I think that is an important message that Kajetan also is trying to pass across through his book. The third lesson I found is that the book talks on the old world virtues of love, humility, patience, and persistence. Now, those lessons are, I call them old world because they are not exactly harped on in today's world. The Yahoo culture, the do it quick culture, and all of that. But they are critical. Sometimes it's possible that those values were not inculcated in young people as they grow, but they meet their peers, they get across the media, social media influences them, and then they don't think that love, patience, humility, and all those other virtues are important, but they are critical. They are the reason why people make it big in the world. And the fourth lesson is that there is dignity in labor. I came and I saw people working with their hands, pulling the chairs and pulling the tables. We must have respect for dignity of labor. The feeling that some things are beneath us would not help us make it far. So we must always understand that whether it's, Kajetan's life mirrors this. He's been a farmer, he's reared pigs, he's done fish, he's done all sorts. But he's here today in his suit, and he does not look like someone who does all of that. But that's the truth. The fact is, to make it, you have to pull through, muddle through the mud. Do those things that may not look like they are worthy of you, but they are the things that pull you across. So we must tell ourselves, the older folks, but especially the younger ones, that there is dignity in labor, not necessarily in an air-conditioned office, wherever we find ourselves. To say that there is no job, I don't understand it. When you leave school, there's always something to do. There's always is something to do. It may not be exactly what you want to do when you leave school, but there is something to do. So start from there. He talked in the book about volunteering. You do not have to get paid for every job you do. Just find somewhere, attach yourself, and get people to see your value. It's your value that promotes you. People would see the value that you bring to the table over time. But that value is not gotten from sitting at home and bemoaning your fate as an unemployed young person. It won't take anybody anywhere. So Kajetan is telling everyone here, please understand there is dignity to everything you do, whether you're a farmer, whether you're a bricklayer. People there is no one way that takes you to the top. There are all sorts of ways. Like we say, traditional things, I believe that you don't sit in one place to watch the masquerade, because he's here and he's there and he's there. So again, that's the thing about life, that you would make your way through by doing those things that don't seem like they are the things you need to do to make it through. The fifth lesson I see is that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village, it takes a community. This school is a wholesome community that tries to help raise young people. I was one of those young people many years ago in the 80s. And when I came, I saw, I was discussing with my old classmates on the platform. And we said, when I see the young people of today running up and down, I saw myself that young teenager in the 80s, who didn't understand what his life would turn out to be. Life is the ultimate X. We are always trying to find it. And, even when you think you have it figured out, you really do not have it figured out. We are always in the process of becoming. We are working to become the thing that we are destined to be. So it takes a village to raise a child. Kajetan, in his book, talks about how his grandmother was there for him in Owerri. He needed to relocate from Owerri to Port Harcourt. His uncle was there to provide shelter. He also talked about his parents, who were his first sounding board towards his becoming an entrepreneur. The lesson is not that we'll be trained by many, but that as we get along, we do not check our own responsibility. So people have raised him, and he's trying to raise people. And that's what he's trying to do with young people, and of course the older ones here too, that they raise folks who are counting on them so that they become better. There's no pride in people becoming not as good as you are. They must eclipse you. And I think that the main reason for writing this book is that everyone who reads it, by going through his experience, would become a better person than him, would achieve more and do better. I hope I'm making a point here. So please, as a community, let's do what it takes to join our hands to raise the children around us. We don't have to spank them like they used to spank us back then, because those days, the community would deal with you. It didn't matter who your father was. Everybody had a right. Every parent had a right to discipline you. Now, I'm not saying spank, but you can guide them the right way. All right. So the sixth lesson I found from the book is that we be involved. That we be involved. One reason we are where we are as a country, largely, is that we are disconnected from reality. We expect a lot, but we just expect them to happen without our input. That's not possible. We must be part of the change that we ask to see. And it's not about an every 4-year thing. We must be involved at different levels, especially from the grassroots. So, let's not be those who, especially young people, they know everything. Young people tend to know everything. That's the truth. And I remember I was one of those people who knew everything till I found I didn't know much. But our role as parents is to keep righting those wrongs and to be understanding. You can't impose your ideas on them. It takes time. These days, you must negotiate your territory, negotiate your ideas. You can't impose. You can't impose. These are people, they are budding intellectuals. They have read some things, but the things you read alone are not the experience that help you through life. To your learning, you must add experience. And a lot of older people have those experiences that would help guide you. So please, I say to us, just like Kajetan, when he was in school, he was involved in the politics of the school. He didn't believe that the school had the right candidates for every position. At least he thought he could also make his own impact. So he was part of elections. He didn't always win, and you will not always win. Nobody always wins. Nobody always wins. The guys who become president, I'm sure you read about Abraham Lincoln's story, how he failed and failed and failed every election until he became president. So these things happen. So failures happen, and we will not always win, but as we keep trying, there are wins for us along the way. Then the seventh lesson is to seek out role models. If the young people here can see that there are role models. Our chairman is a role model. The governors, some of them are role models. They've come from all sorts of situations to be who they became. And another thing, the role models will help you only some way, but they help you model your life because you see them from a distance. Many times, at some point, they will disappoint you when you get too close because you find those things about them that are not exactly in sync with what they say or what you had created in your mind about them. However, the things that you have learned, the things that made you impressed with them, please run with those. Whether you are happy with them or not, run with those things that drew you to them. That's very important. And when you become disappointed, it's just like we do with our pastors, you know. Our pastors are not God, they are not Jesus, but they are people we look up to. But there are certain things about them that just don't flow when you get too close. You know, so I'm saying to us young people, nobody is your absolute role model, even while you have role models. All right, so moving on quickly. Number 8, the 8th lesson is that whatever the outcome of your efforts, just keep going. Just keep going. Winston Churchill said a very profound thing. He said, success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. And we know as Nigerians that where we are really may not have made us proud of ourselves, but the truth is we can't afford to lose our enthusiasm. We can't afford to lose hope. We have to just keep going, because we know that there are possibilities for the man who does not stop. The author in this book, in this book that I'm reviewing, shows us many examples of failures on his part. Put in the effort, and I'm going to just cite a few of those examples. There was one, Angela Chilaka, who had renal failure. His NGO took up the cause, you know, and they helped her, but eventually Angela died. There's Onyebuchi Okonkwo, an 8-year-old who had kidney failure. Funds were raised, but he still passed on. There was also Enoch, who was 11 years old, a lively young boy. He developed a deformity that kept him indoors. Kajetan, with his team, went all the way to NTA Newsline, way back then when Newsline was the place to go to for such things. The boy was flown to India, treated, but you know what? A few years later, the boy still died. And there's also the case of an old man that he saw in Lagos under the bridge. He knew the old man was in distress and was likely to pass on because he was old. And he went to the authorities to tell them, please, can we do something for him? Only to find that government was waiting for the old man to die so they could just take his corpse away. Now, the truth is, when you've been through all of this, it's easy to give up and to say, man, what's the point? But the man is still here, and he's not giving up. So that is the spirit that he models, and I think that the rest of us can emulate. The 9th lesson I get is you have to have a sense of purpose. That goes without saying. A man gets to a certain age, and our commissioner here is not a commissioner by chance, I believe. I am sure that over time there's been a mindset developed towards getting to this position, and I'm sure this is just a stop in the gap. So there has to be a sense of purpose to our lives. Whatever it is we're doing, whether it's in politics, whether it's in academics, whether it's in the clergy, in the industries, in banking, whatever it is, there has to be a sense of purpose. But even beyond that is that our purpose, our core purpose, is to help take man, especially the black race, from where we are. I'm not sure that the black race is in a coveted position wherever we find ourselves. And I think that it is up to us, with our learnings and our accumulations and resources, to help build the profile of the black person so that he is not despised everywhere he finds himself. We should not be running around everywhere. People should be running down here. And I think that it should make us feel a certain way, that all we do is look to go to other places where we think the grass is greener. So my 10th takeaway is that life is measured in contributions. I've said a bit of this in all the other things I've said. We must contribute, and everybody has something to contribute. It's not just about finances, because that's what we think about when we say contributions. No, it's not that. We all have unique attributes that we can bring to the table to make change happen. And if Mr. Kajethan is doing what he's doing, I'm sure that a lot of us can do the same. There are many of us who have written books. He wrote, I think the last book he wrote was about 7 years ago or so. How long ago? 11 years ago. All right. The great thing about books is that books, like songs, they outlive you. He doesn't have to be here for people to be inspired by the lessons in this book. So, if we have what it takes to write books, let's do it. If we have what it takes to talk, let's do it. If we have what it takes to get people together, we have the resources to get people together, let's do it. But we must contribute, and we have what it takes, which is not what everybody else has to bring to the table. All right? So, my 11th takeaway for me is that you should trust God and serve Him. Again, the author mirrors this by his own lifestyle. He's a Catholic, and you can see from what I see here, there's a lot of Catholic presence, there's a lot of Christian presence, but the major thing is that his Christian faith gives him a sense of responsibility and accountability, makes him know that there's someone he's going to go to at the end of the day who's going to say, hey, what did you do with everything I gave to you? And that question is going to go not just to him, but to all of us. So we should trust in God while we do our duties, while we do the assignments that we believe He has assigned us to do, but also know that if we don't do it, we have Him on our case when we depart this path. My 12th takeaway is there's profit in the non-profit. The author says that all the time. Everything is not about money. We say that everything is not about money. Whether it's called non-profit or it's called profit, there is profit, because the profit we get is in the impact that we make in the lives of others. There's no greater profit than that, than to have a young person who doesn't know his left from his right or her left from her right to be guided in how they relate with life. There's no greater profit, because you have someone who can do immeasurable things with that gift or the gifts that they have. So whether it's going to give us money in the immediate or not, please let us stick with doing what is possible so that younger people especially, because that is Kajetan's constituency, the young people. I saw him yesterday with the students, and to a large extent his constituency is young people, because impact older folks need support, but the young people, when you impart into them, are the ones who are going to give you the support, and are the ones who provide the backbone for the nations and for the world. So if you leave them just run around anyhow, it helps no one. And then the profit that we're talking about will not have it at the end of the day. My 13th takeaway is that Nigeria happens to everybody. We all say Nigeria has happened to us. Nigeria happens to everybody. It's happened to him over and over and over. And we were talking yesterday, I said, it's happened to me many times. You start this, doesn't work, this looks like it's almost done, some policy comes and overturns it. Nigeria happens to all of us. But we all can't run away because Nigeria is happening to us. We must happen to Nigeria. We have what it takes to also happen to this country. And the truth is, while we are not in politics, the truth is that one of the best ways to help change happen is to make it to government. It's difficult. I mean, yes, one man's effort will help. But the more of us who are in government and making the effort, the more it will count. Because policy starts from there. It does not start from under. So even as we do what we do, please, politics is dirty. We say that all the time. Yes. But we can, by massing together, find something that's good about politics and to make sure that we do it to help change our country. So I wholly recommend Life After School to the young people and to everyone here. If your young one is not here, that you'll be able to give it to them, that you get a copy or get copies, that you can donate to schools, that you can donate to classes, that you can donate to churches, that you can donate to relatives. It's important that we do what it takes, that we do what it takes. Now, I'm going to finish, I'm going to tell you this. Kajetan said something about the parable of the cautious man in this book. And please listen well. He said, there was a cautious man who never laughed, he never cried, he never risked, he never lost, he never won, he didn't try. And one day, that cautious man passed away. His insurance was denied. For since he never really lived, they claimed he never died. Now that is profound. If we live and when we leave, nobody knows we left, then we really never lived. So we must make the effort like he is making. I'm sure that he's not the most proud. I'm sure it's expected this place to be filled up today. But this is another block he's going to pass. Because I'm sure that one of those days, the place will be filled up. And the good thing is that the place has quality people. So it's not always in the numbers. It's in the quality that we have. And so, when we... usually when I talk like this, I always remember Theodore Roosevelt and what he said to us, what he said to humanity about being in the ring, about being in the center of the action. So I just want to restate that, because for a lot of us who blame government, who blame school authorities, who blame church authorities, who blame everybody else because we know what to do, but we are never doing those things because we never find ourselves in places where we can be part of what's happening. Theodore Roosevelt has something for us. He was the 26th president of the United States. And his address is to critics and to those who perform. And please listen. He says, "It is not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles." I mean, Anthony Joshua was beaten recently, black and blue. A lot of us were laughing and saying, "Look at him, everybody is beating him." But he was in the ring. And he's made millions of dollars by being in the ring. Even though we may not like him, we feel that, okay, he's messing up our Nigerian heritage by getting lost, by getting beaten. All right? So, it's not about those who point out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. A lot of us know how things can be done better from the privacy of our bedrooms. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, like Kajetan, like the rest of us who are doing what we can do, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, he makes mistakes, who comes short and short again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings. But he actually strives to do the deeds. He keeps making the effort. He knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions. He spends himself in a worthy cause. Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement. And who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails having dared greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, I thank you for your time. I really enjoin all of us to buy the book, to read the book more than anything else, because beyond giving it out is that we internalize the lessons and are able to pass on these lessons. It will do all of us a world of good. I thank you very much, and please do have a great day.
Please, can we give him a better round of applause? Thank you very much, our book reviewer, for doing justice to this book. I really wonder what the next person will say, but of course, there will always be something to talk about. The 13th point, you talked about Nigeria happening to Dr. Kajetan severally, and I think Nigeria happened to him again today, but he has also won, like he keeps winning. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful job.